Hello, thank you. This is the last panel and probably the best panel of the day and the week. No, seriously speaking, here are fantastic panelists that are going to tell you all the secrets about how to make friends, which is really important in today's world. The topic is End of an Era, the rise of streaming partnerships. And for that, we have these fantastic 4 panelists that are going to introduce themselves. Probably you already know them, but why don't we say 1 or 2 lines about each of you, starting with you, Igor.
I'm Igor Draguzet. I'm the Chief Content Officer at CME. CME is a broadcaster and streamer operating in 6 Central and Eastern European markets. 45 channels, 49 million reach, 1 streaming platform, SVOD, Voya.
And thank you for giving us all the goodie bag. It was him, his company, Voyo.
Yeah.
Levente.
Hi.
Yes, clapping, yes, because the back is very useful. Thank you.
Hello, it's nice to be here. My name is Levente Málnay, and I'm Managing Director and EVP for AMC in the Central and Northern European region. We operate 36 linear television channels, and we are about to launch our first streaming platform this year. And I'm very happy to be here. About AMC, most of you people know AMC about iconic television series, US television series like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, or The Walking Dead.
Fantastic. Vanda?
Yes, Vanda Rapti. I'm EVP for Viaplay Select and Content Distribution at Viaplay Group. So Viaplay Group, our core markets, Nordics, Netherlands and Poland, for now where we have a direct-to-consumer service, and my responsibility is internationally for a niche SVOD channels that we have in the US and a few other markets, focusing on Nordic and best of European storytelling. Viaplay Select, which is a partnership product, which we distribute across the world, as well as the traditional, let's say, licensing.
Fantastic, Vanda. And then Maria.
So thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. My name is Maria Valenzuela. I'm a former Sony Pictures executive and Movistar executive, and I am now an independent producer and a consultant on the media. And hold the panel yesterday on AI, so very keen on AI too. And voilà.
Fantastic. So the panel is called the End of an Era because there are now, according to Omdia, more than 6,000 streaming video services in the world. It is impossible for all of them to survive, so we have seen some of them already not here, and lots of mergers between some of those streamers. Lots of partnerships. In this region, we estimated 25% of subscriptions come through these partnerships with telcos. Also, linear TV is really important. More than 80% of the viewing in this region is linear, and pay TV is very strong. So I want to start, in fact, with you, Vanda. You are one of the regulars to this event. You love NEM, but lots of changes happened over the last 12 months. Can you give us an overview of what happened with Viaplay? You left some markets, you went to other markets. Explain your strategy, what has happened in the last 12 months.
Indeed, so what has happened to Viaplay in the last 12 months is very relevant to this panel. The change was kicked off exactly last year at NEM, coincidentally, when my ex-boss and the ex-CEO of Viaplay Group exited, and that was followed by new CEO and the board announcing certain challenges on the expansion markets and closing the direct-to-consumer offering in certain markets, where actually, arguably, we were doing very well in growth, only that growth needed to be even larger to support the cost and the investments that were made. So the importance now is that there is a decision to remain with our core direct-to-consumer broad offering in the Nordics and the Netherlands, where we have from sports to originals to all studio or US and international content. And the rest of the world, we build on partnerships. So we create growth for us, but as well as partners around the world. And that model is, in essence, for me, what I have to admit I quite always believed in, which is using our strengths, and our strengths is certain expertise that we have on content curation, coupled with our leverage on acquisition and commissioning to provide kind of curated premium best of European content offering to streamers as well as aggregators around the world. So that, in essence, shifting from international direct-to-consumer strategy, which of course it would be increasingly challenging to achieve, to more holding hands and supporting. Our mission is to support local aggregators and local streaming services with their growth and combine the strengths of the two.
Fantastic. So you are moving here to a pure model of partnerships. So who are your friends in this region? Are your friends the telcos, other streamers, hardware companies? Who are your friends?
In this region, we have partnered with Pickbox, who are the exclusive Viaplay Select partner. So in Croatia, of course, we have a streaming partner. But generally, in every market, we are looking to find. Bottom line is who needs us more, or who sees the light that needs us more, or who is faster in holding hands with us. So our partners vary. So in some markets, like in Greece, for instance, we are with Vodafone, who is an aggregator and a telco. In Germany, with Deutsche Telekom. In other markets, we may have a partner that is a public broadcaster that actually appreciates very much our content offering and sees value on their service. So for every market, we just adapt to
the need of that particular market.
Yes.
So Vodafone, you mentioned telcos there, which brings me to you, Igor. I said in the beginning that 25% of partnerships are thanks to partnerships with telcos. Are you partnering with telcos in this region?
Of course. So telcos are a key element of the ecosystem, and they are one of the most important partners that a broadcaster and streamer can have in every region. Having said that, different players have different strategies and different needs. Someone like us, someone like CME, who's a leading broadcaster in our markets, where all of the users, viewers know our product, know our brand, we don't necessarily have this need to partner with someone else to grow, right? So we are able to generate growth through our own power, and I think that makes us different.
Exactly, because you are very different in that sense. Like Boyo, the streaming service you have is D2C, but you said you don't see the need of partnering with a telco. There is not that need for you. Do you think it's because telcos in this region, the ARPU is already low, and maybe that partnership is not as beneficial and maybe in other regions? Can that be a reason?
No, for sure we are in relationships where we also offer the voice service through telcos, but that's not the main axis of growth, right? So the main axis of growth is a direct-to-consumer relationship, and so that's the main focus.
Interesting. Levente, how important are partnerships, and who are your friends in this region?
Before I answer that, let me explain something that has been core to our strategy in the region. First of all, in the last few years, as you said, hundreds of, globally thousands of streamers launched, and we do see many of them struggle. We decided to keep linear television as a priority, and that's not going to change. We strongly believe that in the Central Eastern European region, linear still works well to the largest satisfaction of consumers. We do not experience the level of cord shaving which UK, United States experienced. Why? It's because traditional linear television is still a great value proposition. And evidence of our belief was actually this April launching our 36th linear television, new linear television channel in Romania called Filmania. So this year we actually launched another linear TV station.
Fantastic.
And concurrently, we built our streaming strategy. We have been careful. What we did was, instead of what we originally thought, rolling out the AMC Plus premium product, which our mother company in the US has been successfully launching and nurturing and growing, we decided to be a little bit more careful in this part of the world. We had constant discussions with our distribution partners, and as a result, I can announce now that at the end of Q3 or the beginning of Q4, so this year, we are going to launch a streaming service in cooperation with one of the large telcos in one of the Central Eastern European countries. And our goal is next year that it should be followed by a second country and a third country. So it's clearly a partnership.
Which telco and which country?
Well,
Give us a headline. There are some journalists here in the first row that they want to read.
you don't want our strict communication head to really make me stand in the corner. So in due course, we are going to announce it, but it's going to be, the announcement is going to come pretty soon.
Which this leads me, everything you have said, you don't see the need to partner with the telcos. I mean, you do in other ways. You with Vodafone, and you are launching your own D2C. Maria, you work for a studio. You work for a tech company. You work for a telco, Telefonica. What is your view about what is happening with streamers? Do you think there are too many? We see in the US what is happening, streamers joining forces between them. What is your view of what is happening here versus what is happening in the US, Spain? Do you think mergers is the way forward or partnerships?
Yeah. Well, that's a small question. No, I see now there has been a lot of effort in the last many 4 to 5 years by having a direct-to-consumer relationship. And we see like Voyo wanting to be direct and having that relationship, which is very valuable when you are wanting to address your clients and your audience, and you want to have the more direct you are, the best it is for you and for your service. And on the other hand, we have seen now the proliferation of services, and the number of subscriptions have now been so plenty, and they have made a big effort into go to the market. There's a lot of overexposure of possibilities of having different packages. So the people in general are getting too much information about the options of different packages. When people talk and compare what Spotify is and why don't we have a Spotify on the audiovisual side, and why is it that it's so difficult? It's hard for me to explain to those. It's a very different market, where on the one hand you have non-exclusive content being omnipresent everywhere, and when you want to have its reach, and on the television side you want to have exclusivity in order to attract to certain services. But that dynamic at the end has a huge erosion and has made it that the competition on the services that are coming to the market are beating each other by cutting down pricing. So there is a very strong first line on how much each of the service costs. And it's been incredible for everybody on the industry to see how some of the service that we're launching in some markets came with a big line, 50% off all your life. It's like, completely blows her head by thinking that is a premium value. You're offering something that used to be the most premium content ever, and you're offering with an absolute crazy offering, and it's all based on money. And that is because the competition among the very different services and the capacity of transmitting what is within the services has been incredibly challenging. And this has now turned into a huge fatigue for those who are not sure of what to find. And there's a situation now where people feel they're spending too much money, which is not true, because we know what cord has costed and cable has costed in the US, for example, and what pay TV subscription has costed back then when we had satellite with a very big offering of 100 channels. But the feeling of paying constantly is exhausting, and I think we have, as an industry, something to address. And there is consumer is at the end the center of our propositions, and we have to be very careful on that feeling that is eroding everywhere.
But Maria, I agree with you, but do you think the solution is for the streamers to join forces between them, like Disney with Warner and others? Or rather than joining forces between the streamers, just go to a telco or pay TV operator that they will have all these streaming services, plus sports, plus music, plus Spotify, as you mentioned, and you were working in a telco before. Do you think why they need to join forces? Because they can already collaborate with a pay TV operator or a telco.
Yeah, I don't separate telcos from streamers in a way, because consumers don't see it that way. Consumers see that they want to have a platform where different services are combined, and when the user interface is collaborative,
and the telco can offer that.
One. And it could be a telco, it could be Amazon. I mean, I mean it on a very agnostic way, because depending on where you're looking at, is a telco or you have a higher penetration by a B2B2C e-commerce platform, it doesn't matter. But when we look at, and we just have to be very blind in thinking, the consumer wants to have one stop and find everything you want within that service. And collaboration is absolutely key. And I was very positive by listening to last month of the news of Disney Hulu coming up with an offer in this summer. It's not there yet, where they're going to bundle Disney with Warner. And I think that is a fantastic way. I mean, the industry is very competitive. We cannot be acquiring each other furthermore. And now it's a moment of merging offerings through bundles or through using the same interface.
Yeah. And they're also launching Disney, they always on channels, because they know linear is not dead. We spoke about opportunities, partnerships, some of the challenges, because some of our global clients, they told us that sometimes they don't come to some countries here in Eastern Europe, and they mention language as a barrier. In some countries where the language is maybe spoken by 2 million people or less, they think it can be a barrier. Is this something, for example, Vanda, that you experience at Viaplay?
Yeah, yes, of course. I mean, as a barrier with partnerships in markets where the localization of subtitles is sufficient, obviously the cost is lower, and therefore it is easier to find consensus in a partnership because either side's costs are lower. Obviously, in markets where the dubbing is a prerequisite or very important, or that makes it definitely
like Czech Republic,
harder.
Yesterday.
Yes, of course. Then, because if the license fees or the ability to pay for the content is limited, then on that, if you add the cost of dubbing, it doesn't make sense for either party.
No.
And before we can speak about a solution to that issue, you have lots of local content in all these local languages. Is that your unique selling point?
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to provide content which is either local or localized to the market standard, that's the main selling points of all our services, whether they're linear or online. Yeah, so the cost of localizing content has long been a very important and big line in our budgets. We see a lot of opportunity coming up with development of AI. We're exploring several different solutions. It's not the most clean-cut of situations for us, because the languages we operate in are not big languages, so the AI models have not had enough data to learn from that and be really sophisticated and accurate and translate in the spirit of the language. But I think we'll get there, right? So it's a question of when, not if.
What a great topic, AI.
Yeah.
We just spoke about that yesterday, the presentation, Maria, as well. And in fact, AI and dubbing came there. And Czech Republic was one of the countries in my table that they want content dubbed. So, Vanda, are you talking to your team about using an AI?
Oh, yes. I keep asking, especially for markets, but even like Germany, that's a market with very significant fees. where dubbing is important, but also for smaller markets where we haven't achieved a large partnership yet. I keep asking, when is it good enough? I mean, I would like to indeed try it. That would make a big difference. And I have to admit, I personally, I believe that if you have dubbing available on a streaming service, not on the free TV premium, that is not perfect, but it exists. I think it still would fulfill a purpose and would still kind of solve part of the problem rather than not have it at all. So I think even not perfect dubbing could make a difference.
I don't know if Levente and Maria want to add something to the...
Yeah, well, how shall I put it? I have to disagree a little bit. Because, well, at least we are in a luxurious position to operate on a scale level, so 8 to 10 channels in at least Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Romania. And in those markets, I'd be extremely careful to compromise on dubbing quality. And AI is not yet delivering the expected quality. Just think of one thing. Would you allow your children to listen to a dub that is not 100%? I definitely would not. So obviously, we are also looking for opportunities to optimize cost, and it makes all sense. But to be honest, in many of the Central Eastern European or Central European countries, a much bigger issue than dubbing cost is inflation or foreign exchange rate. So the fact that some of our costs are in euros and some of the local currencies have weakened quite drastically, for us, it's a much bigger challenge than how much we can save on dubbing and whether AI can deliver that immediately.
But it's not only saving, it's reaching countries that you cannot reach otherwise. So it's not just a cost efficiency thing, it's also making that content available in other markets and being...
Well, yeah, for our own production, yes. However, so far what we find is, well, let me give you an example.
Yes.
When we produce a show for Spectrum about the castles of Hungary, clearly the primary interest will be in Hungary. Now, when that format we brought to Slovakia yesterday, obviously we targeted Slovakian castles with a local celebrity, a local star. That was a program much more relevant for our Slovak audience. And we are going to continue that also in the Czech Republic. So our original production is really tailor-made country by country. And for us, the strategy so far has been relevant in that specific country. So our general way of looking at original production is more to give something to the specific audience, culturally and from an entertainment perspective, than actually selling it and scaling it up. This may change. Obviously, if you start producing scripted, it's a whole different game, because the stakes are much bigger, the investment is much bigger.
Good points. Maria, do you agree with what they're saying about?
Yes, yes, and yes. I think there's three yes. I think you're completely right that you cannot, I mean, AI is incredibly funny because it can be incredibly accurate and then boom, it comes with something completely random. And you go, come on, what is wrong with that? And it's incredible. It's called hallucinations. And all of a sudden, they're incredibly capable of, connecting and measuring and reproducing whatever that is very complex, but they don't know that a key goes into the keychain in order to turn it. Or you have 3 hands or things like that. That is crazy. So I think this is now in a moment of, AI is in a moment of progress. And we think that I'm hopeful for many reasons that it will be a moment where we can rely on having a good dubbing and a good subtitling. So it will not be a barrier. And I think it's a shame that these economic barriers make it difficult for content to travel. I've been on the content distribution side, and I know very well how you look at the world and you go, okay, Spanish speaking, subtitling, dubbing. And then you look at subtitling, okay, this is not so expensive. So let's see which of the countries where you can subtitle in their language will be able to have interest in the content for the cost of subtitling. But sometimes it's like the chicken and the egg. You need the content to be out there in order for people to understand and to want the content. And being able to offer a localized version without a huge cost at a different maybe quality level. And I do understand that now, pay TV absolutely established and very strong pay TV channels like AMC has are very, very careful and are offering incredibly reliable, especially in children content, etc. And that is part of their DNA, being a premium content. But I think it's a great modernization, it's a great democratization to be able to access this type of content. So it will come. We will not see.
On the compromise, dare I say that I would not suggest a compromise on the linear or on an established offering, but on the streaming, where one could have as first priority the subtitles with the original language and offer a compromised version. I mean, still, of course, is not ideal, but it is a very different risk than having a forced bad dubbed content on linear.
I totally agree, Vanda, and we could go one further. I mean, if we look at the question of accessibility, there's only to gain. Meaning, if we create, for instance, a subtitle for people who have hearing problems, it's a net gain. And in that case, we added value without compromising anywhere. So yes, I fully agree. There is a place. It just we have to tailor-make where we use AI.
This is exactly what we're doing at CME. We're looking at ways how to add more accessible content to our offering. So how to be more accessible to people who have issues with hearing or with sight. And we see AI solutions as being instrumental in that drive. There's always going to be humans involved in that process, right? So it's not a binary choice, the humans versus AI. It's more like the AI is a tool that saves time and labor, right? So and humans are there to ensure there is enough of quality. Where we see space for a big leap forward using AI is actually using AI in content selection, in programming, and in recommendation engines, right? So how to personalize the content offering, the product features for every single user.
Fantastic. And advertising, content discovery,
correct.
Great questions. But since this panel is about making friends, partnerships, I wonder if there are people in the audience that they want to be friends with you and someone has a question. It's your time. I don't know if questions are allowed, but we're allowing you to ask questions. Do you have a question, anyone in the audience, that you want to be friends with our panelists?
No one wants to be friends.
Nobody wants to be friends with any of you, okay. Oh dear. But if you decide you want and you have a question, please feel free to put your hand up. Another topic, we're talking a lot about pay kind of partnerships, SVODs, telcos, streamers, but as you all know, the future is hybrid. Everyone is launching hybrid tiers, AVOD, FAST, the famous FAST. How important is in this region partnerships with free content providers? And Vanda, I'm going to you as well, because via free, you are partnering with Pluto. Tell us more about that partnership. Is it successful? What do you think about FAST?
That's a very good question. So in the Nordics, for everyone in the audience that is not aware, of course, we have a 360 business where we have Viaplay as an SVOD service and free TV channels, and we used to have and a lot of other media business, from radio to you name it. And our catch-up, or traditionally our catch-up service for our free TV channels has been via free, that you just mentioned. And a few years ago, we decided to partner with Pluto, where we, in essence, closed our platform and we put all our content on Pluto. We also sell advertising on Pluto, and basically this is a win-win partnership, because on one hand, Pluto, I don't think they would have a chance in the region or to have a large growth without the local content. I mean, if you launch yet another service in a market, AVOD, and try to attract huge AVOD, while you also have YouTube, while you also have all the free TV channels. I don't think they would have, as good as their content is, and I think it would be really, really hard for them to have any meaningful numbers. While joining forces with us, they got the opportunity to have all the local content in there, while also matching it and creating fast channels with their content. And that has been working very well. Well, at the same time, that is what makes sense for the market, for the specific content. While, of course, at the same time, we have the content that we have on Viaplay, we are not putting on Pluto, on Viafree. And similarly, internationally, where we represent more the best of Nordics, critically acclaimed, award-winning content, I don't think that the best place for that would be a fast, that we would not monetize, we would not do the best for the content. So I do think it varies, not per market, for the type of content, whether one would choose to go to fast or AVOD offering or not. But exactly to your point, Maria, with the partnerships, there is where is a difference. So in some markets where we have a free TV partner or a partner who owns both an SVOD as well as a free TV service, which we have in a few markets more that comes to mind is Canada, but also Switzerland in particular, where in this case the partner can choose to put some of the content, or in the US actually with one of the providers that we haven't launched yet, but they also have an AVOD service, so we unlock some of the content. But that is more to create awareness, get some revenue, but the main aim is to support the SVOD service and or to support the local partner. I mean, if the local partner who kind of has an exclusive or similar partnership with us considers that it's best for them to put some of the content on free and some on SVOD, then we are going with that, but not that we would...
Yeah, you're not planning to launch your own fast channels, but this partnership with Pluto is working in some countries. But I'm going to ask the local experts in this region, although I think Jonathan Broughton said there is not such a thing as Eastern Europe region, each country is different.
That's right,
So in these countries around the region, what is the value of fast? Is this something as well in your roadmap, or fast is something really for the US and a couple of other countries in the world? What is your view about fast, since you are the experts?
Currently, we don't see the value in venturing into that space because still a huge part of our revenue comes from the linear TV ad space. And their CPMs are far higher than what we could get on fast. So for us, it doesn't make sense to open up this channel.
Valid point. Levente, would you agree? Yeah, I definitely agree. So fast is an opportunity, but we, in many Central Eastern European countries, and I do agree, there's no one-size-fits-all. So the beauty of this region is every country is practically different. I mean, in countries like Hungary or Romania, where the cost of linear television advertisement is far, far away from what our friends in the Czech Republic have already achieved, there's still massive homework ahead of the industry to really find the proper value proposition. And to that, with daily 4 or 5 hours of linear television viewing, fast is not a tool we immediately need. Also, an interesting dilemma is pay TV, so subscription fees and SVOD, versus advertisements. So there are markets where programmers make their livings primarily from subscriptions still. And those subscriptions are good value for the money, whether that's linear subscription or streaming subscription. By the way, it's a very interesting what has been touched in this panel, that in some of these countries, still there are streamers who fight with price concurrently they give phenomenal value proposition. So I think we all got to be careful in the sake of our industry what our pricing strategy is and what our model is. What we've seen is a few years ago, everything was about the number of streaming subscribers. Now it's more about profitability. And I think the same question has to be asked from ourselves when we decide about fast or non-fast, is how the hell are we going to recoup the content investment we've made? And again, there is no easy road. Probably a different answer will be applicable to different countries.
Great, and I think it's going back to your point in the beginning, Igor, while you were saying that you prefer right now to go directly to the consumers to get all those revenues because profitability is important.
Yes.
While other streamers, maybe, let's say Netflix coming to the region, they want to other priorities, reduce churn.
Exactly. Mainly it's churn management, right? So this is how we interpret different partnerships taking place in the region, yeah.
Do you want to add, Maria, to what you are listening from these players?
Yeah, no, I think, Igor, I mean, if we don't look at the business, I think for the consumer point of view, there is an appetite of not paying, not compromising, having targeted channels and a big variety. So there is I think worldwide, everywhere, there will be an interest. I think advertisement, when you feel you not have to subscribe, is better acceptable. Now we see advertising going back to many of the subscriptions to have the freemiums. But again, when CPM doesn't make sense, why would you want to subsidize a model that is going to take us nowhere?
Okay.
So it makes... And I think
someone has a question. Yes?
Just one note on that. There's often a common comment in the industry, which is, oh, you have those rights right there. You're doing nothing with them. Use them. And it's very confusing. It's like, really, this is not the same. I mean, I don't know what you're thinking of, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work in a way. As a content offer, you cannot just put everything you have on the shelves there. You will confuse the audience. You confuse your clients. So that's from the point of view of the platform, from the point of view of the rights holder, that's not a valid point.
Okay, this panel doesn't really believe a lot in fast. If anyone disagrees, put your hands up, or if you have a question. Yes?
Hi, again, my name is Nisa from BBC Studios, and I'm really interested in your comment about Disney and Warner partnering together and to create a bundle for a better price in the region. However, I sort of see that as an issue because they are both global companies, and you can disagree with me or not, but I think I read in one of the articles that these global companies, they don't pay taxes in the countries that they run in, unfortunately, and that could jeopardize the number of audience that they attract globally, including the region, in CEE in particular, and decreasing that number of audience for linear TV and local VOD. So I guess my general question for every panelist is, what are your strategy in each region to sort of protect and retain the number of audience within your platform, and trying to sort of drive away or maybe suppress the number of global streamers to go bigger in the region?
That's a great question. So what is your view about global streamers coming to the region? And for example, yesterday we celebrated Max coming to the region. Good news? Bad news, more competition?
Excellent news.
Excellent news. So
it's excellent news because the more content offering there is for the user, the better we all have to be in what we're doing, right? So that's super important. And what we believe in CME is we want to be the local champion, right? So those players like Max or Netflix and others, Disney, they're not competing with us in exactly the same thing. So we take their activities in our markets as a welcome incentive for us to be better. Yeah.
Well, there is an immense amount of competition, and everything is competition, from events to streamers to whatnot. I think the key is to stay locally relevant. And what we at AMC try to do is combine the best of both worlds. On one hand, we take advantage of our mother company's locally relevant, strong output. So the Walking Dead franchise is back on our linear channels. And by the way, we had a lot of internal debate whether it should go linear or streaming. We decided to premiere on linear. And concurrently, we produce local content on our infotainment channels, on our cooking channels, on our documentary channels, and certainly on our sports channels as well. So we try to take advantage of the best of both worlds, at least in our key 4 markets, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania.
And I want to ask Vanda as well, but you mentioned sports and we haven't touched that topic yet. How important is sports in this region and having exclusive sports rights? We know now, going back to Netflix, they're launching now their own live sports as well.
For every market, sports are important. But then it depends what position you take. If you want to take in the market the position of a broad streamer, definitely all the aggregators in sports should be or a part of your strategy. And we have this in the Nordics and the Netherlands, and that has been also our way that we managed to go into new markets in much bigger numbers than one would have if we didn't have sports. So absolutely. But then that is for a broad offering as well as the aggregators. Nevertheless, they can be also services that focus not on sports. And that is completely, it does make sense. But it is, but sports is the only kind of completely exclusive property in a way, that because one would say that all the series and all of the movies are interchangeable, while the sports are not. So yes, it is important for
at the same time, Vanda, those
play.
sports rights are really expensive. So going back to that telco where Maria used to work in the past, it costs a lot of money. So should telcos invest buying those rights, producing their own series, or should they just aggregate from others so others will take that risk? I know it's a very difficult question. Each telco is different.
Yeah, we'll not address Movistar strategy, but in general, I mean, sports is an event programming and it's a scheduled programming, and that is very important because you can make sure that at a certain moment of time, people are going to be on television, are going to be in your service, and sports has been used depending on the market and on the strategy, either to consolidate one commodity over the rest of the commodities. So if you are offering fiber and you're offering connectivity and you have sports, they will rather have yours rather than have anyone else offering. Or had also been offered or has been linked to premium content, so that on the higher place to make the ARPU raise, you have a sports on top of it. That is because a sport is very sophisticated, the way it's been acquired the rights and the way it has worked. It depends on whether you want to or you need to have the very wide number of subscribers because you're paying same value no matter how many subscribers. So you might just want to give it to the whole basis, or you just, depending on how you're paying the sport rights, you might want to just offer it on a very, very high premium tier. So sports is incredibly powerful and important, and I think it's going to continue being appointment television, and that is really important for the industry.
You share this view. Igor.
No, absolutely. So if you, as Vanda mentioned, right, so if you want to be a platform targeted at a very broad audience, sports need to feature in your content strategy, and you can't go around it.
There is 1 minute. Time for another question. Yes, Andy here has his hand up.
So end of an era. We talked about friends. I want to ask, who are your enemies?
Very good question.
Are that media companies or are it eventually the tech giants?
May I answer? Just because, I'll give you more time to think. It's like when you order a food, in a restaurant, like I go first.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Think about who's your enemy. Yeah.
I think maybe games or sports, being outdoor, being outside of a stream, everything that competes in your time, it's competing for your time, it's competing for having leisure being spent with you. I think even though it's a different category, it's very important how it's competing with each other. When we look at ratings of free TV, because those ratings are easy to access, you see how people don't watch, don't go to the cinema or don't watch a movie when the weather is better. And it's a complete relation between the weather and the rating. So, good weather is a competition, and in a way, it's the enemy of watching television.
Do you have enemies, Igor?
I would agree. I would say we now operate in an attention economy. So everything that we do is to capture people's attention and get them to spend more time with us and to choose us over, a myriad of other options. So, so it's about how to be attractive, appealing, and get people to keep coming back.
Yes, and you said before you love all these players coming to the region.
Absolutely.
Because you are not scared of these global players.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic.
Because we are most relevant for our audiences.
Since it's not anymore the time when the number of streaming subscribers matter, but rather profitability, everyone is a friend and ally who helps building and nurturing value, telcos primarily, but even smart competition, and everyone's an enemy who's contributing to value disruption by stupid competition, plus inflation and foreign exchange loss. Those are major enemies.
So one thing is a friend, and the other is a partner. And of course, we can be friends, like both in the Nordic region, for instance, with all the competition, we're good friends. We collaborate when and to the extent possible. With some, it has not been possible to collaborate or to hold hands in a big partnership, or you may have collaboration in a market that makes sense, or to a smaller scale, but in essence, I do believe that also the streaming partnerships, aside of the telco partnerships, are important. It's just harder to reach, and I do think that we need to make an effort on that, because on the because of course currently, Maria made the point that it doesn't matter if it's an aggregator or a streamer. The consumer wants to see a one-stop shop, and currently, let's admit it, the well-known one-stop shops are the aggregators, but I think if some streamers hold hands together, they could benefit. It's just it's harder to reach agreement.
Keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. And even companies like YouTube, TikTok, social media, you need them as well to partner your content. So.
Or to promote.
Or to promote
to reach
content.
People, yeah.
So, Andy, they don't have enemies. Everyone is a friend. And with this beautiful quote, we're going to close this panel. You can meet the friends after this session now. Thank you very much for discussing all these topics with us.
Thank you, Maria.